Welcome back to Big Mouth and welcome to the Big Mouth Daily Live. How are we this morning? What time is it? It's 9:48 a.m. here in Cyprus, so it's 7:48. Is it 8:48 a.m.? No, I don't bloody know in the UK. Whatever it is in the UK. Anyway, welcome to the Big Mouth Daily Live, and really some interesting rumours and news going on this morning. There's only one thing to talk about. The rumour is that Disney want to buy DC Comics. How true is this? How would you feel about this? And I'm about to tell you how I would feel about this. Now, when I first saw this, I had a great old giggle and I didn't believe it. But I'm thinking about this and I'm thinking about this, and it could be part of the game. So it could be interesting because someone is looking to buy those AT&T remaining 70% ownership in Warner Media, or it could be that Disney just want DC. Obviously, anyone would want to buy DC Comics because potentially there's a lot of money to be made if you're not an idiot and you run things properly. So, I can understand that they would want to buy DC. I would love to buy DC, but I can't. They obviously have the funds. So, yes, I'm starting to believe this more and more. I believe Warner Brothers has been dead, really, since AT&T bought it. The existence of Warner Brothers isn't really there. You've got Warner Brothers Pictures. They turned it into Warner Media. So, I think it's there for the taking, certainly. But logically, would Discovery take hold of Warner Media and want to lose DC Comics? Well, they own 29% of Warner Media, right? That's how it's been framed. And the shareholders at AT&T own about just over 70% of Warner Media. So 70% of the shareholders of the shares for Warner Media are owned by AT&T. So this is a desperate company in debt. So not only have they gained a lot of money from this Discovery deal, I don't think Discovery have enough of an ownership to say what can happen. So that's interesting. So potentially this could be a real true rumor. This could be happening. But then again, did anyone know that Disney were going to buy Lucasfilm until it happened? No. Did anyone know the Discovery Warner Media deal was going to happen before it happened? No. So these things are normally kept secret. So we know if Disney were to buy DC, there would be this, oh my God, this can't happen. This is the end of the world. But let me ask you a question. If Disney owned the rights to DC, would they bench Superman for over 4 years and blame him for Justice League? In fact, if Disney already owned DC, there never would have been a Justice League. Zack Snyder would never have been in charge of the DC live action IP in the first place, so there would be no need for a Justice League. Would Superman's upper lip would have been hacked to death? No, of course not. These things wouldn't have happened. Now, yes, Lucasfilm originally made a mess of Star Wars with the sequel trilogy, but look how they're fixing their shit over on Disney Plus with the Mandalorian universe and the animation. Bad Batch is awesome, right? So when they get a mess, they deal with it in the right way and they keep things in-house. Rian Johnson isn't having a civil war publicly with Disney. He wouldn't dare. The two lads who wrote and directed Solo originally are not publicly having a civil war with Disney or Lucasfilm. It's all done cleanly. It's all kept in-house. Snyder and Warner Brothers are having a civil war publicly, mainly from Snyder's end because he's the one doing the talking. So Disney are a more professional company. They know what they're doing. So do I want a professional company that knows what it's doing running my DC live action? I think I would. I think I would be quite excited about that. Now, it would make Disney more dominant, of course, but the potential of crossovers between DC and the MCU would be amazing. What would happen to the existing DCEU IP? I have no idea. Would there be a cancellation? It's complicated, isn't it? These, of course, are the discussions we had this time last week when the Discovery Warner Media deal happened. What happens to the existing plan? Well, there's many movies being filmed today. We saw Asher Angel and the other lad together. We saw the Shazam family together in pictures. They've started filming Shazam, Fury of the Gods, and I know lots of fans are excited, and that's including me. So, first of all, it's a confusing situation, and I know a lot of fans don't want this, but you have to ask yourself a question. Look at the potential that's been missed with DC live action. Wouldn't this be a good thing? The truth is, we really don't know what it would be, who would be in charge of it. Could Kevin Feige run Marvel and DC? People always say on Twitter, you woke up to be the head of Warner Brothers, what would you do? Well, I would appoint the best people. And Warner Brothers, from the inception of the DCEU, should have kind of appointed the best person to run it. They didn't appoint the best person to run it. We've gone through that story before. David S. Goyer had an idea for a Superman movie. Nolan was in charge. He went and got Snyder. And all of a sudden, Snyder was the unappointed leader of the DCEU. Warner Brothers certainly didn't give him that position. He was left with that position after David Goyer and Christopher Nolan walked after Man of Steel. Disney wouldn't have done that. Now, to be fair to the MCU situation, they didn't appoint Kevin Feige. He was there at Marvel Studios already before they bought Marvel Studios, right? So that's important to understand. They didn't find Kevin Feige and put him in charge of Marvel Studios. The guy was there in his position already, and he was helming this Marvel Cinematic Universe. So Disney just said, you know what, this guy's doing a good job. He's been involved with these Marvel movies, even the Fox ones, even Raimi's Spider-Man from the word go, right? This is the right guy. Why break something? If it's not broken, it doesn't need fixing, right? They were just smart enough to leave him to do what he was doing. And the positive consequences are there. It's intelligent people doing the right things. And ultimately, Warner Brothers, even back in the Superman Christopher Reeve days, didn't see the potential of what they had. They allowed the Hungarian producers, the Salkinds, to have the rights of Superman. They didn't do the right things after, Dick Donner made an amazing first movie. They fell out with Donner and Donner left. That was bad for everyone. Dead. Christopher Reeve was going to be in Supergirl. That's the beginning of a cinematic universe in those lofty early days when nobody had even heard the name Kevin Feige in the MCU. And then Christopher Reeve said, no. Me, I would have said, you know what, mate? You're doing it, like it or not. So we had that. And we've had so many thwarted plans for Superman movies and other movies. And then when we get to the 21st century, we get a Green Lantern movie, we get a Superman Returns movie, we get Batman Begins. That should have been the beginning of another cinematic universe. Didn't happen. Didn't happen. Another missed opportunity about a year later, or a year, all of that. Or, don't forget, the MCU started with Iron Man in 2008. Superman Returns was in 2006. Batman Begins was in 2005. They could have beaten Marvel to the punch. Well, they didn't. So if we have an opportunity to be owned by Disney in terms of DC Comics, I don't think we should just say no. I think we should look at it logically. What's the best for us? What's the best for the DC fandom? Is it just to say no to Disney? I don't think it is. I think we have to be intelligent here. And I know the Snyder fans are already saying no, but it's not up to you anyway, is it? But opinions are important. We're all the consumers. There's no question if DC was to be bought by Disney, they would have to do a lot of persuading to talk us round. They would really have to throw everything at us and convince us why them owning another huge property is a good idea. But why owning the property that we love, with all these DC characters is a good idea. That's the thing. So I don't know if this is happening. I don't know how this is going to work. But I tell you what, I'm not going to dismiss it. I'm not going to dismiss the opportunity of having fucking awesome movies and connectivity run by clever, intelligent people. Because some of us don't like the MCU. I do like the MCU. I'm not an MCU stan, but I have the films over there in my cabinet and I've enjoyed them. Now, I don't binge them all the time, but I like them. I like their Disney Plus series, and I think they're heading, and they've always been headed in a great direction. That's how you do a cinematic universe. You bring in the mainstream audience. You please the Marvel people. Now, not all the Marvel fans are happy, but a lot of them are. How proud, to have an extensive cinematic universe that everyone's going to see, that is the most popular thing in the planet, which is the most successful franchise ever. We would give our eye teeth. Is eye teeth the thing or whatever? We would give our eye teeth for a successful franchise at that. And most of our hatred for the MCU, us DC fans, is jealousy. And if you think about it, and if you're a bit self-reflective, right, and you're emotionally intelligent, you understand that it is jealousy, because we want what the Marvel fans want, and we don't have it. So Warner Media, Warner Brothers is a company in two. It was bought by AT&T, and now they've dumped it over at Discovery. What does Discovery know about running a movie studio? So DC is primed for a takeover. Now, obviously, if you take DC away from Warner Media, they've lost something big. But as I say, AT&T are a bunch of desperados. They own 70% of Warner Media. That means they own 70% of DC Comics. And if they want to sell, if AT&T want to sell their 70% of DC because they own 70% of Warner Media, they can do that. And no one could stop them. There was a rumor about them selling the stake of Warner Media to NBC Universal, which would have made the deal really big. But if they want, they can either sell their stakes of Warner Media to Disney. That means you'd have Disney and Discovery involved, but Discovery would be minority shareholders. And Disney, with AT&T 70%, would be the majority shareholder. Or Disney can just purchase DC, because really, that's all they want. I mean, I don't think they'd mind the Harry Potter franchise. That's right up Disney's kind of roadhouse, isn't it? But to buy Warner Media, they would have to go through a few, jump through legal hoops. Buying DC, even though there's potential there, DC isn't as big a company on its own. It isn't worth what Warner Media is worth. Do you understand? So if they bought DC, that could be ratified in the next few months very quickly, and they could go to work on it. So hearing this, I was dismissing it this morning. I thought it was a bit of a joke, but now I'm taking it seriously. Kurt, Manchester United fan, Australia Glazers out. Yo, brother, yo, Kurt. 2-1 win yesterday. Big game on Wednesday. We must win. Ollie must win a trophy or he's in trouble. We're Manchester United. And so getting back to this discussion, I'm not ready to say, I don't want this. Because I'm not sure if I don't want this. I think I do want this. Kurt, Manchester United fan, Australia Glazers out, yes. So it'll be interesting to see your thoughts about this. Do you want Disney to buy DC Comics? As I say, I think it will be a good thing for DC fans, because you can't say we've been heaped with gold, that this studio has done the right things for these DC characters. So I think it's no coincidence that this is rumored to be happening. Hot Takes Tuesdays. This would be horrible, and it's all Nolan's fault for hiring Snyder. Disney would ruin DC. Well, welcome to the chat, Hot Takes Tuesdays, and I'm always happy to listen to your opinion. But Why do you think that Disney would ruin DC? Haven't these DC characters been ruined already in live action? The lost potential, all these times that they've cancelled movies, that they, as you say, they appointed Snyder, and it's WB's fault for allowing Snyder in. Sorry, for allowing Nolan in the first place. Kurt Manchester United fan Australia glazes out. Paul Pogba not play last night, brother. Yeah, because they played a weakened team, mate, because they're saving their best players for Wednesday. You know, the Europa League final is what it's all about. But we won, and that's good. So as I say, Hot Takes Tuesdays, I'm not sure if I'm against this. I can't see how this is a bad thing for us, because I don't see the evidence where, and of course, as I said, Warner Brothers has now been splintered. 1 minute it's owned by AT&T. Now it's partly owned by Discovery and AT&T. It's a splintered company. It's really there for a proper takeover now, and for bits and pieces of it to be taken away from it, because AT&T are a desperate company that need money. Hot Takes Tuesdays. DC is about villains, and Disney does lame villains. DC's heroes are defined by their villains. Look, as bad as I find DC, I still find their movies much more interesting than the MCU. Well, listen, the MCU isn't really about its villains, although you can argue that Loki's a pretty good villain, but one villain doesn't make a whole bunch of good villains. But they don't really focus on the villains. It's about the heroes having someone to fault. And just because the villains in the MCU are like that, it doesn't mean they would do the same thing then. So, and as you know, Superman the movie, great movie. Superman 2, a great movie. Superman 3, an okay movie. Supergirl, not the greatest, but I love it, and I love Helen Slater. You've got Burton's Batman movies, awesome. Basically, Batman Forever is an okay movie, but not the best. Obviously, the Dark Knight trilogy was awesome. The Snyderverse is pretty cool. We've had some okay movies within the DCEU, but we could have done so much more with these characters. And I think Smallville's a great show. They can be proud of that. Hot Takes Tuesdays. Dude, DC still has the best comic book movies, period. Listen, I think you're right. I think you're correct. I think when you look at Snyder's movies, when you look at Nolan's movies, when you look at Dick Donner's first Superman movie, when you look at Burton's movie, Burton's Batman movies, you're right. As films, we have the best films, but we have untapped potential. This is a studio that moved Burton along because they wanted to sell more toys, right? And that was a mistake. This is a studio that allowed the Salkinds to push Dick Donner aside, franchise ruined. And history keeps on being repeated and repeated and repeated. And no matter how much we bitch about it online, nothing is going to change. Hot Take Tuesdays, Watchmen, V for Vendetta, Joker, Wonder Woman, Shazam, Superman 78, Dark Knight. You're right. You're right. They're good movies. So I suppose that's the question I need to ask next. What would you rather? Great individual movies or a great franchise that we can be proud of? And that's a difficult one. And I don't think I have an immediate answer to that, because we have got great movies. Sam Dejan reviews. Disney will just marvelize it. They won't give us darker R-rated movies like Joker. No, you're not going to get darker movies unless they're clever enough to create some kind of department of darker movies. So it's complicated. You're right. Disney buying DC is complicated. It's not straightforward. And I agree there. I agree. I'm just not ready to dismiss it out of hand totally. I don't know where this rumor came from. I don't know if it's from a good source. I don't know if it's going to happen. But I've been thinking about this morning a great deal. And DC live action is at a crossroads. Hot Takes Tuesdays. I don't want DC to become one big toy commercial. Great individual movies. I think we're so close to having a good franchise. Someone competent just needs to take over the Snyderverse. Well, you can't have someone else take over the Snyderverse. It's his verse. It's not going to be the Snyderverse if he's not running it, right? So the Snyderverse is dead, my friend. It's dead. Hot Takes Tuesdays. Army of the Dead is trash, by the way. Hot Takes Tuesday, I enjoyed the first 3/4 from the moment the Coyote became dumb, because I loved her for the first 3/4, was intimidated by that head of security, didn't tell anyone about the severed zombie head, and then died. The film lost legitimacy. But for the first 3/4 of the film, I enjoyed it and I thought it was solid. Not the greatest thing ever, but okay. So I wouldn't say it's total trash, but that's your opinion, of course. And here, everyone's entitled to their opinions. Sam Dejan reviews. All the villains in the MCU are forgettable. The only good ones are Ego, Thanos, and Loki. Yeah, but the MCU isn't about its villains. The MCU is about its heroes. And also, it's making films for a wider audience because they're a business at the end of the day. So they make entertaining movies that make money. So I understand what Hot Takes Tuesday is saying, that, you know, we'd rather the strong individual films. But they happen once or twice or thrice a lifetime. There's no consistency with that. I mean, the Snyder Cut is awesome. The Joker movie is awesome. And that's great. But the Hamadaverse is going down this Marvelized kind of direction, right? Wouldn't you rather people who can make it and understand that kind of contrivance rather than people who don't understand it going that direction? I'm not sure. I'm excited for the DC projects coming up. I really am. But it's interesting, isn't it? And I don't know if this Disney rumor is true. Nobody does. But it's a talking point. It's an important talking point. And it's interesting, and it could become a reality. I think there'll be many petitions and many objectifications on Disney buying DC. It won't be easy for them. It won't be easy to turn around so many DC fans. It won't. Because DC fans will not be happy about this, especially the hardcore ones. Or maybe they will. Maybe they expect better. But I'm just not dismissing it. I can't. Because I do think we're at a crossroads. I think Warner Brothers, Warner Media is a splintered company now. What AT&T have done by shifting it off, they've made it a weak company. And little bits can be taken from them. And as I say, AT&T have the majority of stocks of Warner Media. That means they have the majority of stock for DC Comics, which means if they want to sell it to Disney because they're a desperate bunch of people, they will. John Stankey said he wants to keep his shares last week. Well, I don't believe John Stankey. You were willing to do this Discovery deal. Are you now telling me you're willing to sit there and, you know, as he said, pick up the fruits of everyone's labor? These people are desperate. They bought Time Warner from the beginning to make a quick profit. This was never a long-term plan. Hot Take Tuesdays, I think Hamada should just go away. All they have to do is make individual movies out of the JL that was left at the end of ZSL and build to JL2. Get Gareth Evans to direct eventually. Nobody wants individual movies, my friend. The majority want a connective tissue. People just don't want individual movies. It's kind of boring if you have 20, 30 individual movies. It's time. It's time to have a connective universe that's exciting, that continues, where we can see relationships develop. That's what the audiences want. So, and if we stay as we are, if Hamada's movies are successful, Hamada is not just going to go away. That's not realistic. Sam Dejan reviews, the only good thing that can come from this is a Marvel versus DC movie. Yes, and the potential is there. Sam Dejan reviews, the Marvel villains are better than the heroes, but they always water it down. Yeah, they do. They do. And that is a problem with the MCU. But people still go and watch them, and they are entertaining. It depends what you want. You see, are comic book superhero movies meant to be these kind of auteur pieces? Shouldn't the auteur pieces be the original works that nobody's working on? And then people can just come in and have a light, entertaining time at the movies, and then watch other projects like we did as kids that have the originality and the auteurs making them? Are superhero films meant for auteurs? It's interesting. That's another interesting debate. But you have to treat DC characters differently to Marvel characters. And they're going to have to understand that. Hot Takes Tuesdays. If people think DC is moving towards a Justice League movie, people will be happy. I think you can do individual movies that aren't great and then just move towards jail organically. That's it. Oh, they are great. But you're talking about just an individual Justice League movie that has no build-up, that we don't see how these characters are recruited. That's not what the audience wants. That, you know, you're talking about the old style of making movies. That's not going to work anymore. People have seen a genie come out of the bottle. Do you understand? People want that. People, we keep on saying, stop comparing the MCU to the DCEU, but people will. They've seen it now. They've seen it can be done. And a lot of people want the same done to these DC characters. Why do you think we're doing the multiverse strategy? To connect everything. That's actually a good idea. People want to see an interconnected universe. It worked for the Lord of the Rings, it worked for Harry Potter, and it certainly has worked for the MCU. Sam Jan Reviews, does that mean HBO Max and Disney Plus will merge together? Oh, well, it depends, Sam, because buying DC doesn't get you HBO Max, but buying the 70% of Warner Media stock from AT&T would get you HBO Max. But the rumor right now is that they want to buy DC and DC alone. Now, I don't know if this is something that's gonna happen. So listen, if they buy those 70% AT&T Warner Media shares, then they've got a majority stake in the company, and that would take years to ratify because Disney have got so much, and then kind of the monopolies and mergers committees would have to look at it, and that's a legal thing, and that's years of red tape. But if they just buy DC, then it wouldn't take them that long. So even if they were to buy those 70% stocks, they wouldn't officially be in charge for a few years. Now DC would be different. Hot Takes Tuesdays on New 52 bullshit. Well, the New 52 has been pretty much adapted slightly in the DCEU already. And don't forget, we're rebooting the DCEU. That's kind of what they did to get the New 52. The only difference is it's not going to be forgotten. Everything will be remembered, but rebooted. I think we've got to look at this. We've got to look at this. We've got to look at this intelligently at the end of the day. Because if we stay as we are, and I have no problem with Walter Hamada, but he's going nowhere. And you're dreaming if you think tweeting about him every day is going to do anything. People don't care. Ray Fisher's come out with his stuff. Nobody cares. Walter Hamada will only go if Walter Hamada fails. It's as simple as that. People have got to start living in the real world. People are living in a fantasy world. I want this. I want Hamada gone. Boom. No. You're not going to get what you want. Especially if you're from the Snyder side of things. Because nobody's listening to Snyder fans at the studio. And it's as simple as that. And I actually was wrong. The Discovery Warner Media merger did start as a rumor, didn't it? So this is interesting. I think it's more plausible than I thought this morning. A lot more plausible. Hot Takes Tuesdays. I think superhero movies can be auteur movies. People like DC movies that have a cinematic feel. They can do that, but the director has to study the character and their best comics, not the latest. Yeah, but look at what Snyder did with BVS. He took the Dark Knight. He took elements of the Dark Knight Returns. You either do the Dark Knight Returns, mate, or you don't. Don't put elements of it. No. You either do it or you don't, right? You had an opportunity to do a great story for an older Batman, right? And you just threw Batman and Superman in together before Superman's character had even been developed properly, right? So I like BVS. But if you're going to adapt The Dark Knight Returns, one of the best graphic novels ever, you do it properly. Now he's saying, I'd actually like to adapt The Dark Knight Returns. Too late, mate. Too late. You had your chance. You had your chance. Sam Leger reviews, Walter Hamada needs to go. He always gives the movies small budgets. He's not going to go. And they like the fact that he can make a big profit for small investment. But do you think the Flash movie's got a small investment? No. They're fucking rebuilding castles and shit like that. They're spending a lot of money. That's going to be a 200, 300 million budget, my friend. So, yeah, for some movies, it'll be a smaller investment because the Joker movie didn't need a huge investment, did it? There was no CGI there. I mean, there was a few bits and pieces, but nothing in the terms of what Snyder does, right? So he's not going anywhere unless he fails. That's how business runs. If Ole Gunnar Solskjaer fails as Manchester United manager in the next year or so, he will be sacked. That's how it works. You don't sack the president of DC Films because someone on some kind of very unsuccessful YouTube says, oh, he has to go. That's not how it works, is it? Business is business. If you bring me in the cash, if I get a producer in for my YouTube channel and he's doing well for me and he's advising me and he's producing my shows great, and you lot don't like him, right, because of something he said on Twitter, I'm not going to sack him. I couldn't give a shit. He's doing well for me, or she's doing well for me, whatever, right? So Hamada's not going anywhere. This is the choice you've got, right? And I'm not saying this is a realistic choice or if this is going to happen. You've got the Walter Hamada universe, right? You've got the Walter Hamada universe, which you don't want, some of you, or Disney running things. What do you want? You can't have it all. The Gaming Maniac. Did you hear Disney might want DC? I don't really buy into rumors unless it's official by the trades. But by God, if Discovery sells DC to Disney, we'd never get films like Dark Knight or Joker again. That's exactly what we're discussing here today, the Gaming Maniac. And at first I thought it was a bit of a joke, right? But now I'm taking it seriously because I remember the Discovery merger with Warner Media started off as a rumor as well. You're right. It's kind of auteur versus a great franchise. Disney could maybe give us a great franchise, but you're not going to get many auteur movies now with the way it's set up. They're Marvelizing DC anyway. So what would you rather have? It being done by professionals or amateurs? And of course, we don't know because these films could turn up pretty well anyway. But if Disney are going to buy it, Disney are going to buy it. Hot Takes Tuesday. Snyder was influenced by a New 52 BS. As for him doing the Dark Knight Returns adaptation, that's the problem. But he didn't even do an adaptation. He didn't do a proper adaptation, did it? This is the problem with these directors. They want to do their own thing. Oh, but I'm taking bits and pieces from the Dark Knight Returns. It's lazy. Hot Takes Tuesdays. These guys should not be allowed. Sorry, I thought I saw someone. Hot Takes Tuesdays. These guys should not be allowed to touch a camera until they've read the comics. If they don't want to, tell them to fuck off. Snyder and Patty should have been allowed to shoot a frame. Shouldn't have been allowed to shoot a frame. Yeah, we know Patty Jenkins is not a comic book fan and she's a Wonder Woman fan kind of thing. So she was a woman. They thought, yeah, why not? And that's why she got the job, basically. She knows where to point the camera. That's her qualifications. And she proved in Wonder Woman 84 she doesn't have a fucking clue how to make a good film. The film she made, for a lot of it, was somewhat embarrassing, apart from the first part and the third act. The rest of it is bullshit, right? And even those bits weren't expertly done. The CGI was problematic. She sacked Snyder's, VFX team. Now, whatever you think of Snyder, he has the best VFX team. So that was childish. And you're right. You should know the material. But Nolan doesn't know the comic book material. He was getting Guy to read all the stuff. He wasn't interested in that. They've all got their own ideas. This is what I tried to explain to you guys and girls yesterday. Today's creatives are, we're going to do what we want because that's our right. And we don't care what you think. Where people like Spielberg were saying, I'm going to do a film about a single parent and 3 children and how that affects the children, but especially one child, which that child is basically me, aka Steven Spielberg growing up. But then he thought, what about the audience? How do I pull the audience into this story? I'll make it about a friendship between a friendly alien and me as a kid. That'll pull them in. So there was a specific thought about how to pull the audience in. These people don't have that nuance. That's the problem. Ronnie Dodge, morning, mate. I don't believe this thing until I see it on something like The Hollywood Reporter. Yes, obviously. We'll see what's happening here. Right now, Ronnie, we're just discussing what would we rather? Stay as we are or go with Disney? Sam Dejan reviews. Walter Hamada won't come out and talk to the fans, but he doesn't. He doesn't know. He doesn't talk to the fans, no. Hot Takes Tuesdays. Wonder Woman 84 was an adaptation of Linda Carter's 70s show. Basically, yes. It was fucking idiotic. Yeah, Nolan got the screenwriters to read the material. Snyder and Patty didn't bother with that in its show. Yes, Snyder is only interested in the comics that he likes. So he knows The Dark Knight Returns, but he didn't do The Dark Knight Returns. He just picked morsels from it and said, oh, look, Batman looks cool when his eyes are shining bright and it's raining. And he made it look great because that's his strengths. But he didn't adapt The Dark Knight Returns. Wouldn't it have been interesting, right? I know. I've got a wacky fucking Kurt Manchester United fan, Australia Glazes out. Let's go for 1K subscribe, brother. Oh, I wish. That would be a dream. If you can help me, that would be awesome. But just imagine this, everyone, before I read another comment. We get Man of Steel, then Zack Snyder actually fucking adapts The Dark Knight Returns in 2 fucking parts. Maybe even a trilogy. Who wouldn't want that? But no, we're going to do Batman versus Superman and pick some pieces from The Dark Knight Returns. How fucking lazy. So if they actually copy and pasted The Dark Knight Returns after Man of Steel, people would have fucking loved that. But no, because they don't think about the audience. They don't think about the fans. They don't think about servicing these DC characters. They only think about what they want. And Snyder is the worst for being selfish about his creativity and what he wants. Love him as I do. Hot Takes Tuesdays. The Dark Knight Returns should have been at the end of the DCEU. I'm not going to debate where it should have been. I think because you're doing an older Batman anyway, why not have a fucking Dark Knight Returns movie after Man of Steel? It doesn't really matter. It's not the way I would go, but people would have, a proper copy and pasted version of that story would have been people would have loved it. The Gaming Maniac. Do you like BBS, Mick? Just curious. I love BBS. I do like BBS, but I'm a balanced individual. And I'm just saying, maybe if he keeps on going on about The Dark Knight Returns, why just pick stuff from it? Why not just adapt it? And it actually is Batman's movie, and Superman just appears like he does in the comic. It's an interesting take. And even the stuff at the end when they go underground and Batman fakes his death and all that shit, that could have continued on in the DCEU. But no, because these people want what they want and they don't care about the audience. This is what we're going to feed you. Open your fucking mouth. That's what Snyder's about. It's about his creative freedom and it's nothing to do with the audience. Eat what I'm fucking giving you or fuck off. That's their attitude. And it's not just him, they're all like that. Ryan Johnson's the same. This is the film, it's my film. If you don't like it, you're a Russian fucking bot. Wait, hang on a minute, mate. You're not a fucking film school anymore, right? You're making films for the consumer, right? So you have an idea, and you've got to test that idea with audiences. You've got to make sure you're going around the right direction. But these people live in a bubble where people say, yes, you're right. Yes, you're right. And there's no one there to challenge them. Ronnie Dodge, Warner Bros. Will never sell DC. It's their biggest IP. Only Snyder fans would want something like this. The same rumor happened last year. No, Snyder fans don't want that, and they're crippled. This Discovery deal cripples them. AT&T are a desperate company. They hold 70% of the stocks of Warner Media. That's 70% of the stocks of DC. They can sell their ownership of DC, which would leave a Discovery being minority shareholders. So this is not the same Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers has been splintered, Ronnie. It's a very different environment. Hot Takes Tuesday. Because Man of Steel hadn't set Superman up properly. Yeah, they should have just adapted a bunch of graphic novels. That's what I think would have worked. Well, I think they did set Superman up okay for what they wanted to do. I don't think it's a bad setup. He's there, he stopped Zod, and then he's ready for his next adventure. What's wrong with that? That's my opinion, and you're entitled to yours, of course. I wasn't dissatisfied after Man of Steel. I wasn't dissatisfied after Superman Returns. I was ready for more. Even though the film had a few issues, I think they could have ironed out those issues. The only thing that Superman Returns needed more of was a bit of action. And instead of starting again with Man of Steel, give Brian the opportunity to continue on. I know Brian's name is Mud now, and obviously that would have been an issue, but I'm just saying that we already set up Superman. We set him up. Brandon Routh, most people were happy with him. Ronnie Dodge, I still don't think Warner Brothers will sell DC. That's just mad. Well, it's not the Warner Brothers we remember, my friend. Normally, I'd say you're right, but this is a splintered company now. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but it's more likely than it was a few years back. Hot Takes Tuesdays. He was a terrible Superman in Man of Steel. I get you like it, and I respect that, but it was divisive. I don't think he was a terrible Superman at all, Hot Takes Tuesdays. It's not a universal opinion, it's my opinion. I think Man of Steel was a vibrant adrenaline rush. It was exciting, and I wanted it to carry on as soon as the action stopped. And I really enjoyed the film, and I wanted to see more, but I didn't want to see a Superman sequel straight away. I wanted Batman introduced, Green Lantern introduced, all these characters introduced, build up the Justice League, do it properly. Then it would have been a good universe, but it didn't end up that way. They fucked it up because you've got to have the right people running these things, clever people, like Kevin Feige. You may not like Kevin Feige, but he's smart. He's fucking smart. And he's not doing anything. It's not rocket science what Kevin Feige's done. It's fucking obvious. It's fucking obvious. He brought in Robert Downey Jr. He knew that would fucking work. Robert Downey Jr. was a disgraced actor, but he knew he could pull it off. And he did. He was born to fucking play Tony Stark. Just look at Tony Stark in the fucking comics. Put a goatee on him or a beard or whatever he's got, and he's perfect. And he played the part. You know, Robert Downey Jr. is a great actor. His best film is definitely Chaplin, as far as I'm concerned. He should have won an Oscar for that film as well. But these are great moves. So they're my views on it. And I think we need to hold our breaths here because something could be happening. And if it does happen, all hell is going to fucking break loose in the fandom. So, because ultimately we can't carry on. There's a civil war between the fans, Snyder supporters of the, what they're planning now. There's this divide. At least if Disney grabbed this IP, Snyder fans haven't got hope in hell. Or have they? That could be interesting. Have they? Maybe everything's open for interpretation again. You need people. Look, I just want to see great DC movies. That's it. And there's some groundbreaking movies since the DCEU was conceived. I think Man of Steel, visually groundbreaking. BVS is a groundbreaking film. Suicide Squad, we shouldn't have had a Suicide Squad for the third movie. That was a dumb fucking idea. But it's a solid movie. Wonder Woman's one of the best CBMs ever made, in my opinion. And obviously, Justice League, we don't have to talk about. Justice League is the problem. They rush towards a Justice League. And we do get an epic Justice League. But the characters, you don't really know the characters, right? By the time you get into Justice League. So it's not the same as Avengers Assemble, right? Because you've seen those characters. And you're thinking as those films go along, I can't wait for Tony Stark to meet Thor. But you can't get that with the DCEU because it was rushed forward. And they're introducing the Flash and Cyborg and Aquaman, right? In one movie. And doing a Superman Rebirth story. How fucking dumb can you be? Hot Take Tuesday, I was bored by MOS, but as you said, Man of Steel was salvageable. BVS, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, Shazam, Joker, I like, but many people hate some of them low. Right, let's just get rid of this pop-up so we can keep on talking. Go away. Right. So I was bored by it. First of all, I'm looking at your comment here, Hot Takes Tuesday. How can you be bored of MOS? It's so exciting, but I suppose that's up to you. But yeah, Man of Steel is there. He's set up. He's ready to go, right? It's not the way we would have done an origin story where, you know, he comes from Krypton and then all of a sudden we see him on this big ship instead of seeing the days in Smallville. But they flash back those days and it's kind of interesting as well. The Joker movie was fantastic. I thought Suicide Squad was okay, but no way would I put a Suicide Squad as the third movie of a DC Extended Universe. It makes no fucking sense. It has nothing to do with the arc or the plan. It doesn't make sense one little bit. Then he goes, right, Warner Brothers said to him, don't shoot anything extra for the Snyder Cut. But he said, I think it's a shame that Leto's Joker and Affleck's Batman haven't met. Whose fault is that? Whose fault is that? Haven't been on screen together, kind of, or spoken. You know, you could have forced David Ayer to do that in the Suicide Squad. Dumb, dumb, dumb. Ronnie Dodd, just wait. If something happens, but I don't believe rumours, and thus came from Cosmic Book News. Yeah, I think that's one of the sites going on about it. Listen, it could be absolute bullshit. It probably is bullshit. I was laughing about it this morning. I was treating it as bullshit. What we're doing here, Ronnie, is having a discussion. We're not being naive and saying, and I'm certainly not just going to sit and say, oh, let's not talk about it. It's a headline and there's nothing else going on, so we may as well talk about the potential. It's interesting, and it's interesting to see and look at the DCEU and look at DC live action and the missteps and the good steps and just have a discussion, really, mate. Hot Takes Tuesdays. I just don't want Walter Hamada making DC movies that are Mortal Kombat quality. I feel that's where he's going with everything apart from the Batman. Well, first of all, Walter Hamada has nothing to do with Mortal Kombat. That's not his roadhouse, so you can't make that accusation. Mortal Kombat, listen, that's a gamer's movie. You would expect nothing less from a gaming movie, to be a bit lazy and just go through the motions. And that's fine for that. It's an okay, solid enough movie. That's not what they're doing here. Walter Hamada came in while they were planning Aquaman. He saved Aquaman movie. He worked with James Wan, who he worked with before over at New Line Cinema. He did a good job. Aquaman's a good movie. Shazam's a good movie for its audience, which is a family audience. And families and children have a right to watch these films as well, my friends. So obviously the Batman's going to be awesome. And you can't just say, oh, well, he's doing the Batman, but the rest of the films are going to be Mortal Kombat quality, right? James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, a film I've seen a test screening for, right? That's not Mortal Kombat quality. It's on another fucking level. So let's not pretend that they're not auteurs already under Walter Hamada. These are auteurs, though, that are willing to talk to the president of DC Films, who are not going to go and shoot on their fucking driveways if the president of DC Films says don't do it. Ronnie Dodge, yeah, I was panicking for a second, lol. Walter Hamada is doing a better job than Snyder at the moment. The Gaming Maniac, it would be interesting if Disney bought DC right after the Batman comes out. They bought Marvel right after the first Iron Man came out. Yeah, that would be interesting. I suppose the new reset of all of this is the Flash movie, so that would be interesting. Hot Take Tuesday. Why would you put an Oscar-winning writer on Zatanna, but not on Wonder Woman 84, lol? Well, basically because they want a woman on Zatanna, and they've decided, well, that's the difference between J.J. Abrams, isn't it? J.J. Abrams went and got an Oscar fucking nominated or winning writer, right? And Patty Jenkins was brought in pre-Walter Hamada. Don't forget that. She's on Wonder Woman 84 because Wonder Woman 2017 is a hit, right? And you want people to have freedom of creativity? Walter Hamada gave her freedom, but kind of kept Jeff Johns there to keep track of her. And it didn't really work, did it? So you're right. You made a great kind of analogy there, and I agree with you. She has to go. The Gaming Maniac. Oh, yeah. How did you like Suicide Squad, Mick? I know you can't say much, but still, ha, ha, ha. Epic, emotional, fantastic, great performances, beautifully directed. It's James Gunn's best film to date. It's fantastic. It works. I haven't seen the finished article. I saw a 90-minute movie. It's more than 90 minutes, obviously. But what I saw was fantastic. Obviously, an out-of-context version of the film, but I enjoyed what I saw. And I'm very happy that James Gunn's involved with the DCEU. I think he's exactly the right person. And I know Snyder people, diehard Snyder people, because I'm a fan of his, but I'm not diehard. I don't eat, drink, and shit Snyder. I don't have like Snyder on a cross and saying, "Good morning, Lord Snyder. What thou command me to do this morning?" That's not me, right? I'm my fucking Lord. I think I'm a fucking God. I don't fucking pray to no one, mate. I was fucking the world's greatest gift, not Zack Snyder or anyone else. I'm more elite than any fucking celebrity. That's where my ego is. I don't give a shit that I've only got 6 people watching my video and only 3 likes. Don't give a fuck, right? You can be as famous as you want, but my ego says I'm the man, not Zack Snyder or anyone else. Love him as much as I do. That's how I feel about myself. I know I'm not the most attractive person in the world, not the most wealthiest or not the most elite, but in my head, that's who I am. I fucking love myself. And I think I'm better than any of these fucking people. So that's me. And believe you me, if any of their wives or women met me, they'd drop their drawers for me, right? And they wouldn't be interested in these elites with their plastic surgery. They want a real man, baby. And I'm a real man. Hot Takes Tuesdays. I think I'm going to hate James Gunn's Suicide Squad. I really would have rather Air do it. No, you're not going to hate it. Well, it depends what you're looking for. If you don't like good films with vibrant action and story beats and great comedy, maybe you're not going to like the film. I haven't seen the Air cut. And David Ayer is an iconic director. He did Training Day, for fuck's sake. He was amazing. He was a great pick by Snyder. But Ayer, what happened to Ayer was because of Snyder, was because of BVS, right? That's why Ayer was taken down. So that movie's probably great by David Ayer, but because of BVS, they were paranoid and they took it down. The Gaming Maniac, I love Snyder and fully respect the man, but I've never understood the people who want to make the other movies tank. I understand the hate for WB, but we've got to think about and respect the others involved. Well, here's the thing. I love Zack Snyder's 3 movies. I fought for the Snyder Cut. I'm continuing to fight for Restore the Snyderverse over on Twitter as much as I can, although the fans are very off-putting, some of them, of course. But I now understand, since the 1.5 million trend, the train's gone. It's sunk. We know now that they have no intention, unless Disney get it or something changes, right, of the Snyderverse being restored. So there's a new plan, and I'm excited about that new plan, and I'll judge it on its merit when I see it. So I would never boycott a DC property before I've seen that property. I'll give it a chance. But these people are pro-Snyder. They are not DC fans, right? So that's why they're ready to boycott DC films. It's all about Snyder for these people. And that's fine. You can boycott these films. But you can't tell me what to do. And you can't tell me I'm not a Snyder fan just because I'm, supporting my first love, which is DC. Hot Takes Tuesdays, I will. James Gunn's humour is obnoxious. Well, it's the typical Marvel humour to a point. Look, it's dry American wit in a way. I was talking about this. Us British are sarcastic and Americans have got dry wit, which isn't very funny. But I don't mind his humour, to be honest. I quite like it. It works with Rocket. Hot Takes Tuesdays. I liked what I saw of the first Suicide Squad. Even the butchered version. I think the haircut would actually be a good movie. Yes, I agree. Both counts there. I like the butchered version, and I'm sure I'd like David Ayer's version even better. The Gaming Maniac, do you think with Discovery taking over things, they will want Snyder involved again? They said their main priority is getting on good relations with directors and fans again. Well, when they talk about getting in good relations, they're talking about people like Christopher Nolan, who was obviously disgusted with the acts of Jason Kilar and changing the release window and the day and date releases. And obviously, when they're talking about that, they're talking about directors and fans in the industry who were disgusted with the decision to release on HBO Max and cinemas at the same time. That's what they're talking about. They're not talking about Snyder. They're not talking about Snyder's fans. I think we need to be clear about that. Do I think they'll look at Snyder? I don't know. I really don't know. Would they look at him as a problem and going forward, it's just not worth dealing with him? I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking. I think, if I'm honest, I don't think they'll be saying, let's restore the Snyderverse, but let's see. Certainly, that's not going to be their first priority. But who knows? Snyder's there. He's pushing. He's fighting all the time. So as long as he's doing that, who knows what these people will decide? That's if Discovery, who only own 29% of Warner Media now, but their CEO is running things, it's totally fucking confusing. I don't get it. And it makes Warner Media a splintered company, you know, actually quite primed for another takeover, a proper takeover, because this isn't a proper takeover. The Gaming Mania, I think the HBO Max Cinema simultaneous release strategy was a good idea, I agree. But I think they fucked up by not telling anyone until the day of that was pretty sneaky. Yeah, they couldn't just let the films pile up. It was ridiculous. But they knew the directors and actors would want to be financially kind of reimbursed. And they kind of just released it. Yeah, they knew what was going to happen when it came out. They knew directors like Nolan weren't going to go for it. That's why they did it in secret. But unfortunately, of course, it was the wrong way to go at it. And once that happened, Keeler was finished. He came, basically, he's the smiling assassin. He did many redundancies at DC Comics. He got rid of many people. They're about running things cheaply and making maximum profit. And you can't run a studio totally like that. I understand it's a business, but, you know, you have to spend money to make money in that industry. Hot Takes Tuesdays. To me, it's hilarious how people try and shit on Suicide Squad 1. It was profitable and audiences liked it. Critics are morons. They like Birds of Prey. It was trash and Harley was worse in it. I agree with everything you're saying. They didn't really like Birds of Prey. They just said it. They liked it because it was directed by a woman, and these people are alt-left lunatics. So that's why they said they liked Birds of Prey. And it's a passable movie, but the toxic masculinity commentary makes it unwatchable, unfortunately. But I definitely think this is going to be a subject and a situation that's going to run and run. The Snyder fans, the Snyderverse, the Hamadaverse, this rumor about Disney. I think it's bullshit. Let me be clear. I think the rumor probably is bullshit. And I was laughing about it this morning, especially if it's come from Cosmic Book, because Cosmic Book know nothing. I don't think that they are the origin of the information, by the way. Hot Take Tuesdays. I think James Gunn and Birds of Prey is the Marvelization of DC. I think it will fail as well, and the Batman Shazam will beat it. My prediction. I don't think James Gunn's The Suicide Squad will fail. I think people will really enjoy it. These are the type of films that mainstream audiences and a bigger kind of percentage of the audiences want to see. They just want to be entertained, right? We've seen BVS. We've seen those type of films. We've seen the mainstream audience's reactions to them. So it's regrettable, but we know what the majority of people want to see now. And so do Warner Brothers. And that's why they're moving away from Snyder. Hot Takes Tuesday. Shazam 2 and the Batman are real DC movies. I think, well, I hope so. Obviously, I haven't seen either of them. The Batman is certainly the type of movie Warner Brothers would green light years ago, like the Burton Batman movies that are pioneering movies. Without those Burton movies, we wouldn't be here now with Nolan's movies or Snyder's Batman or any of these versions of Batman. So, Warner Brothers has always been a pioneering studio. Unfortunately now, with the ownership changing, and God knows who's going to own it in the end. As I say, the way this Discovery thing's happening, Warner Media are now primed for a proper takeover. And someone's going to gobble them up whole because they're not a whole company anymore. 29% for Discovery, 70% for AT&T. That isn't a merger. That's a bigger takeover waiting to happen. And you bet your fucking bottom dollar Disney are interested in swallowing up that company whole. But as I say, legally, that's going to take them years to do. So we wouldn't see the results for that maybe not in our lifetime, but you're talking maybe 2 or 3 years. So things would still continue now the way they are. But obviously, if the Hamada universe was successful, Disney would be happy with that anyway. Hot Takes Tuesdays. There's no such thing as mainstream audiences. There's Marvel fans. No, this is not true. Hot Takes Tuesday and DC fans. Most people I know don't give a fuck about MCU movies. MCU fans just go and see the movies 30 times in cinemas. Trust me. Well, obviously the MCU fans go and watch them, but let me make this clear to you, Hot Takes Tuesdays. The MCU fans, as you call them, are the mainstream audience. My niece hasn't picked up a Marvel comic before, and her crush on Tom Holland, but she loves them. My brother-in-law loves them. The rest of his kids love them. And that's how it works. The MCU fans you're talking about are the mainstream audience. It's the MCU fans, that tag that doesn't exist. They are the main audience that go and see all these films because they love them and they're entertaining. And this is what people want. I tried to show my niece Aquaman and she found it boring. This is the reality of the situation. Nightjaw, hey, how is everyone? I'm really hoping DC being bought out by Disney isn't true. It's unlikely that it's true, but as I say, with the way Warner Brothers is owned now, partially by 2 companies, it's there, waiting to be taken over. And there's nothing to be done about that. And we're just going to have to play it by ear. I would tune in around early afternoon if you're from the UK or in the morning from America. And I think there may be some big news this afternoon, if not today, tomorrow. There may even be a denial or confirmation. Let's see. Because this didn't come from nowhere. So it's interesting. Would Disney just buy DC or would they swallow up Warner Media? I suspect they're after the whole of Warner Media. It looks like even Discovery did this deal to make a bigger deal when this company's taken over. Hot Takes Tuesdays. MCU fanboys are not mainstream fans. Yes, they are. Dude, I have mates who love MCU and they will never ever admit DC has made a good movie. DC attempting to try and appeal to those fans is moronic. No, I don't agree, Hot Takes Tuesday. MCU fanboys and girls and other people identifying in different ways are the mainstream audiences. That's what they are. That's why Infinity War made about whatever it made, right? These are the same people who went to see The Force Awakens. That made $2 billion. You don't make that kind of film without rewatchability and a huge, percentage of the audience going to see it. Hot Takes Tuesdays, and they are the mainstream audience, right? And the only reason they won't go and see DC movies, these people, is because they're not accessible to them, right? You look at the DCEU, the DC Extended Universe. What is it? What is its character? What is it trying to say? What is it doing? All it is Man of Steel, BVS, they're kind of continuing and trying to say something. Then you've got Suicide Squad. Then you've got Wonder Woman. It's not what they wanted. Now, they liked Wonder Woman, but they don't like the rest of the movies. Those movies don't sing to them, if you like. It's a disjointed franchise. And the MCU isn't a disjointed franchise. They can go back. They've got all these characters crossing over. They're good characters. They're accessible characters. And that's why they work, my friends. So you can't just sling it away and say, oh, I'm not defending them. I understand that MCU fans come after us as DC fans. I get that. But I've also got to be balanced and understand there's a reason why the MCU works more than the DCEU works for, a broader amount of the audience. Nightjaw, hopefully so. I honestly think Disney is too big to get another company under their control. Well, in big business, my friend, you will learn that these people never think they're too big. Hot Takes Tuesdays, dude, do the math. If MCU fans go and see the movie 30 times and there are 77 billion people on the planet, how many people are actually watching these movies? But they're the MCU. Listen, the MCU fans are the mainstream audience, my friend. Don't you understand? They've become MCU fans from watching these films for years. So if 30 people go and see it, or if MCU fans go and see it 30 times, of course, they were doing that with Endgame to try and make it the biggest film of all time. But that's not what they always do, right? That was a different situation. They are the mainstream audience, my friends. They've become MCU fans, right? Because they like They like what they're seeing. It's light and it works. It works for the audiences. It works. There's no way around it, my friend. We can bury this as MCU fans and MCU fanboys, but that's not the truth. Why? Why was a studio forced to sack one director and bring in another director who was rushed to do the piece of shit that was Justice League? That's not Whedon's fault. The schedule he had was despicable. Of course he was going to be like a raving lunatic. Even the cast and crew didn't want him there. They wanted Snyder. The whole thing was a mess. Why did that happen? Why did that happen? Because people didn't like BVS. The mainstream, broader audience didn't like it. I liked it. Maybe you liked it. But the broader audience didn't. And this is why the studio went mad and they didn't know what to do. They were under such immense pressure, right? Because they trusted the wrong people to put these films out. Nightjar. Plus, I don't think Disney would treat DC right. They would most likely give it the Marvel treatment and not be as violent. Look at Aliens, for example. Look at Alien, for example. There hasn't been any film on that, and they own it. Yeah, they've only owned it for a while, for a couple of years. Give them a chance, Nigel. They might do a good film. I don't know. I understand what you're saying. Disney make family movies. But maybe they would adapt if they had DC. They know where the money is. They get it. And don't forget, what's the bloody film with Ryan Reynolds? Deadpool. Deadpool 3 is R-rated. So it proves when they have to go R-rated, they're willing to do it as well. Hot Takes Tuesdays. MCU fans are fanboys. DCEU fans are fanboys. Star Wars fans are fanboys. Just because Zack did a shit job doesn't mean that director-driven or dark movies wouldn't work. This is what I think. Director-driven movies shouldn't be for existing IPs. I think you create your original characters, your original movies, and do what the fuck you want, and nobody cares, and they enjoy your movies. But when you're fucking around with IPs, you can't stand there and say, this is my original take, I'm an auteur, no one interfere with me. No. These are existing, beloved IPs. You can't do what you fucking want. Take an original story and original characters like so many people have done, like Quentin Tarantino and so many, because they have the talent to do something original. Then you can do whatever you want. But you can't demand to have the freedom of a fucking studio who's giving you millions and millions, hundreds of millions of pounds, right? 300 million to make a movie in Snyder's case. And let you do whatever you want. If you want to do that, make an original movie. These are beloved characters, and that's why Feig's taken good care of these characters, right? And understood. You know, if you're dealing with existing IPs, you can't just say to someone, do what you want. Nightjar, maybe, yeah, I'm purely not a fan of Disney, to be honest. Well, I'm not a fan of studios. It's not about that. There's some Disney stuff I like and some I wouldn't bother with. Hot Takes Tuesdays. I like BVS, but Snyder is an idiot for how he was telling the story. Murder Batman and Emo Superman, but Wonder Woman worked, Joker worked, Aquaman worked, Shazam worked. These were director-driven movies. Listen, I like BVS. I do, but not enough people did, right? For the business side of things, right? Now you're saying, and the Emo Superman thing I don't like. It's not right. It's not right at all. But Wonder Woman worked, Joker worked, Aquaman worked, Shazam worked. No, they weren't. They weren't all director-driven movies, right? So let me show you what I'm talking about. Right. So you're saying Wonder Woman wasn't a director-driven film. That wasn't her vision. Wonder Woman 2017 was the vision of Zack Snyder. He co-wrote that film, and the reason that film is so good is because of Zack Snyder and his team. Patty Jenkins was the episode director that got her way on a couple of bits. That's it. Right. So, Wonder Woman. Joker was, yes, that was an auteur movie, but that had nothing to do with a franchise. That was a movie on its own. Aquaman is a studio-driven movie, directed by a really good director who worked in partnership with Walter Hamada, the president of DC Films, to put out a great film. And Shazam is definitely a studio pushed movie that worked for families, and that's how I see that. So we need an industry. This goes beyond comic book movies. We need an industry where you have a variety of films. And the auteurs should be making, like Snyder, should be doing things like Army of the Dead, original content, right? They can do what the fuck they want with the original content. But with existing IPs, you've got to be careful. We've never been in an environment like this in this generation where there's so many existing IPs going on, right? But I would rather see an auteur working on original stuff so he or she can do whatever they want. That's how I feel about that. And I think when you're dealing with existing IPs, you've got to tread carefully. You can't get your own way. I'm sorry. This is Superman and Batman we're talking about, and Wonder Woman. You know, beloved characters that weren't created by you, right? If you want that freedom, do your own stuff, right? With Joker, you've got a bit more freedom because it's an Elseworld Joker, basically. Nightjob, could see Netflix having it. I can't. This message is held for review. Hot Takes Tuesdays. Dude, sorry, mate. Zach did not co-write shit. Yes, he did. You're wrong. Sorry, mate. You're wrong. He has a story credit on Wonder Woman. Go and listen to the screenwriter of Wonder Woman's interview. Patty wrote more. No. She had nothing to do with that film, apart from a couple of pieces of inspirational moments that she got her own way of. Because if it was up to her, she fought lots of fights. She didn't want the sword even in that film, or the shield in that film. That is Snyder's film more than hers. He had to help her with the choreography. All those fight sequences, it was his VFX team. That was more his film than hers. She was the episode director. Sorry, mate, you're wrong. So I don't have to listen to anything. It's obvious. Look at Wonder Woman 2017, right? Go and look at Wonder Woman 2017 and look at Wonder Woman 84. So if they're both driven by the same director, why is one so awful and one so good? Because the difference is Zack Snyder. Sorry, mate, you're wrong and I'm right. I say it how it is, I'm sorry. We can't create universes for ourselves and pretend that this is how it was. This is what the internet does. It talks bullshit and tries to make it a reality. Well, here we talk about the real opinion and what's really going on. And as I say, Hot Takes Tuesdays, are you going to argue when I've literally listened to the screenwriter ZS was on set for one fucking day? Go and look at Monster and look at Wonder Woman 84. It's a nonsense argument. No, it's not. I don't need to go and see Monster. Doesn't matter how many he was on set for. It was his VFX team. He did help her with the choreography and the fighting. It was his story. He constructed the story as well. And again, you're not explaining to me, if she drove the fucking film, my friend, how comes Wonder Woman 2017 is one way and Wonder Woman 84 is an absolute diabolical mess? Tell me, how can that be possible? Because you're wrong and I'm right. It's as simple as that. What you're saying is a nonsense. Don't care how often he was on the set. It's obvious. I don't get it. I don't get why you actually believe this director did both of these films when it's obvious she had creative freedom on that film that was terrible, and she didn't have creative freedom on Wonder Woman 2017. She got all the plaudits for Wonder Woman 2017. It's a bit like fucking Inspector Gadget when he takes all the credit, but really it's his little niece that saves the fucking day. That's the difference. And that's what happened with Wonder Woman 2017. Hot Takes Tuesdays. How can he help her when he was on it for one day? The reason, because the screenwriter was different on Wonder Woman 1. No. Yeah, okay, right. The screenwriter was different, Alan Heinberg, right? But you're fucking arguing that she drove Wonder Woman 2017. So it doesn't matter. Snyder did help her with the choreography. He co-wrote the story, and Alan Heinberg wrote a great script, right? You're right, he's the reason. But you are saying that Patty Jenkins drove Wonder Woman 2017. She was nothing more than an episode director, and you've already lost your own argument by bringing in Alan Heinberg. He helped her. He was there. We know that. That film is Zack Snyder's vision of Wonder Woman. Yeah, he had to take a loss on the suit being lighter because of BVS and things like that. but he was very much the driver of that film. He brought in Alan Heinberg. Do you understand? Zack Snyder brought in Alan Heinberg. So you're wrong. She didn't drive that movie, right? She didn't drive that movie. That's why Wonder Woman 2017 is one of the best cinematic movies ever, and Wonder Woman 84 is a dud. Oh, I see. You don't like Zack Snyder, so you're trying to say that other people deserve the credit. Who brought on Alan Heinberg? Zack Snyder. Yeah, you can look. Now you're diverting. Look, basically, my friend, you hate Zack Snyder, so this is why you're saying this stuff. You have bias, and you're letting your bias drive you. Zack Snyder brought in Alan Heinberg. He ran the film. He brought in his own writer who knows the Wonder Woman comics, who's written Wonder Woman comics. Alan did a great job, yes, but without Snyder, Heinberg wouldn't have been there. No, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. Zack Snyder takes great credit for Wonder Woman 2017 and the story. He played his part. Alan Heinberg played his part. Those two men drove that film. Zack was in charge of that film, right? And Patty Jenkins is only there because she's a woman. And they wanted to put a woman's name to that film. She has proven what kind of director she is. Well, it's coming across you're desperate that he doesn't get credit for that film, mate. So you have an agenda, don't you? Nigel, I think one of the problems with the new Wonder Woman film was continuity-wise. It didn't tie into BVS. The Wonder Woman tied into BVS because of the photo. Well, continuity is a little issue, but because it's in 1984, my friend, it doesn't really matter. 1984 predates BVS, right? So you don't need that stuff. That's not really the big problem with the film. Hot Takes Tuesdays. I love Zack's Justice League. Geoff Johns brought him in. He says, no, I don't need to hear the interview. I don't need. Geoff Johns didn't like what Snyder was doing. He didn't like what he was doing in Man of Steel. He says it in a Vulture interview. You're making it up as it goes along. You go along. I don't care about interviews, my friend. I know where the bodies are buried. I know the industry. You don't. Zack Snyder was brought in by Christopher Nolan, right? Now you're over-egging the pudding. Hot Takes Tuesday. Why don't you want the link? I don't want the link. I know. I don't need links. If you're a robot who needs links and needs what you heard here to prove an argument, it's up to you. Christopher Nolan brought Zack Snyder in to direct Man of Steel. Then they got rid of Nolan and Goya, and Snyder continued. And then they didn't like what Snyder did. This is how it works, right? But Snyder was very much in control of Wonder Woman 2017. Very much. Very much. He even cast the fucking woman, right? Hot Takes Tuesdays. Just listen to the screenwriter of Wonder Woman 1. Alan Heinberg said Geoff Johns brought him on. No, he didn't. Doesn't matter what he says. Zack Snyder has said that he brought him on. Maybe they both brought him on. It makes no difference. Wonder Woman 2017 is a Zack Snyder brainchild, written beautifully by Alan Heinberg with Zack Snyder's VFX team and Zack Snyder's VFX. He helped Patty with the choreography. That's a fact, and that is why the film is so awesome, because Zack Snyder led that film. And you can go on and on. Doesn't matter. Alan Heinberg was brought in by Zack Snyder and Geoff Johns. What's the argument? Zack Snyder led that film. That's why it's so good. So it doesn't matter, does it? Geoff Johns and Zack Snyder brought in Alan Heinberg, right? Doesn't matter, does it? Zack Snyder led that film. Wonder Woman 2017 is more his vision than anyone's vision. So it doesn't matter. It's not an issue. There's not a debate, is there, mate? You started off saying that Wonder Woman 2017 was the vision of Patty Jenkins, and you're wrong. She took credit for a film she had very little things of. All she did was say action and told people where to stand. And she got her own way with several things because she didn't like the way Wonder Woman was being portrayed, as she's already complained about. Hot Takes Tuesday, Zack's team helped Patty. I agree. But she wrote a lot of the movie. She did not. She had nothing to do with the narrative of the film. She didn't. She didn't. Of course, yeah, they say stuff in interviews to make her look good and have a big part of it. But that film wasn't her vision. It wasn't. Let me tell you what she put into that film. The heart. The heart, it worked. It was awesome. It was pure. It was beautiful. That was great. But the choreography, the beautiful visuals, they're all Zack Snyder. The sword, the shield, it's all Zack Snyder. The awesome fighting, that's Zack Snyder. The God stuff, that's Zack Snyder, right? And again, right? How can you give her any, basically, she's the director in name only. Action, you stand there. Yeah, I want Wonder Woman to have heart in this bit. I want the love affair between Steve Trevor and Wonder Woman to be great. So you can give her credit for stuff like that. But the actual vision for this film and where it goes and the way it looks, that's all Snyder. Because how come she wasn't capable of even producing one good VFX shot, right? So I'm not going to argue with you over this. It's a waste of time. I know where the credit goes for this film, right? How the film looks, the choreography, the casting. Patty Jenkins took credit for this because that's what political correctness is. They wanted her to look like she is the reason Wonder Woman 2017 is so good. Hot Take Tuesday. No, he doesn't try and make her look good. It's a candid interview. Alan says Zack was there for one day. It doesn't matter, my friend. You don't have to be on the set, right? It doesn't matter. Explain to me. Why is Wonder Woman 2017 one way and Wonder Woman 84 if she was so involved with the movie, right? No. Now you're lying. Wonder Woman 2017 was done by Zack's VFX team. You are not Hot Takes Tuesdays. You are a Hot Takes bullshitter who will say anything to get one up. I'm sorry, you're wrong. That is Zack Snyder's VFX team in Wonder Woman 2017. You're wrong. End of story. Hot Takes Tuesdays. All love, mate. I guess just agree to disagree. Yeah, because you're talking shit. Thank you very much, and thank you for taking part. Don't make stuff up to win an argument. It's very childish. I know for a fact that Zack's VFX team was part of Wonder Woman 2017. Don't bullshit. This is the silly little things and silly little people on the internet. Silly little arguments, right? Patty Jenkins was literally the episode director of 2017's Wonder Woman. Now listen to the bullshit, right? Listen to this. Explain to me why Army of the Dead is shit. Army of the Dead isn't shit and looks beautiful, by the way, no matter my issues with him killing off all the characters and leaving the most awful character alive. So it's not a shit, and Justice League is a masterpiece, 1984. Yes, 1984 VFX was done by a different team. We already know that. But we're talking about the first film. So why are you having a debate about 84 being done by a different VFX team? The VFX in 1984 is shit. That's my point. And the VFX in Wonder Woman 2017 is perfection because Snyder's VFX team was involved. What are you actually arguing about? You're going on to 1984 now. You're talking shit, mate. You're talking shit. Sorry. Army of the Dead has got beautiful choreography. The film looks beautiful. It looks like a fucking painting. What are you talking about? Hot Takes Tuesday, yes, Zack's VFX team did Wonder Woman 1. I agree. I was not making things up. So what's the discussion about then? What's the discussion about? I'm making the point that Zack takes more credit for Wonder Woman 1 than she does. She's just the episode director who said action and got her way with a few story beats. But without Zack Snyder, the film doesn't look like that, doesn't look like awesome as that. The God stuff, the fighting, the awesomeness, the choreography, None of that would be as good without Zack Snyder. It wouldn't have been the film that we saw. She took total credit for a film. As I say, she's Inspector Gadget. Zack Snyder's Inspector Gadget's niece, who didn't get any credit for that film. Not even he gives himself credit for that film. But without Zack Snyder, Wonder Woman 2017 isn't the film that it was. Nightjar, what's your thoughts on Army of the Dead? Haven't seen it yet. Army of the Dead is a beautiful looking film, great VFX, everything, great first 3 quarters. Then the film loses its legitimacy, I'm afraid, because of certain things that it does. Hot Takes Tuesday. The discussion is just because the same VFX team has the same doesn't mean Patty didn't direct Zack Snyder's VFX. She sacked Zack Snyder's VFX team in Wonder Woman 84. The VFX team looks great because that's his team. So why, if she's such a good director of VFX, right, is the VFX in Wonder Woman 84, which is not Zack's team, so shit? Explain that. You're just trying to dig yourself a hole, mate. You lost. I'm the winner. I'm an elite. Don't worry about it. Thank you very much. Don't worry about it. I don't know where you're going with this, right? Right? If she directed Zack Snyder's VFX team, right? Let's say she had the freedom to do that, which I don't think she did. Why is the VFX so shit in Wonder Woman 84 when she directed it? What, you know, if she's so good at VFX. Hot Takes Tuesday, do you know the same VFX team did Suicide Squad? Well, so did Air, not direct Suicide Squad. I don't know what you're talking about. I really don't. Yeah, basically what you're trying to do is because you can't handle losing because I'm more intelligent than you, you're trying to dig yourself a little angle. So you're saying, you know, the same VFX team did Suicide Squad. Well, so did Air not direct the Suicide Squad? Right. So Air directed the Suicide Squad. The effects look great in the Suicide Squad, right? Because Air had total freedom in that film. Wonder Woman 2017, Patty Jenkins didn't have total freedom of that film. She was the episode director. You know that. And then she directed a different VFX thing because she sacked Zack's VFX because she doesn't really like Zack. All that love for Zack is bullshit and fake. And she sacked his VFX team. And the VFX team was probably okay, but she directed it crappily. That actually proves that the shit VFX from Wonder Woman 84 is shit. And the one in 2017, it proves the point that she didn't direct that team. So you've lost again. You can't win against superior intellect, mate. You can't. Don't worry about it. You can't win, mate. You can't win. I know what I know. I know what I know. You're trying to argue about things, but I know I'm right. I know I'm right. She is literally Inspector Gadget. She's Inspector Gadget, taking the credit for the niece. Hot Takes Tuesdays. God damn, can you not argue respectfully, dude? I've been nice on the channel. If you want to debate and lose, come to my channel and discuss. I supported you on Twitter. Don't be a dick. I'm not being a dick. I'm not being a dick. You're trying to stir it up and you're winding me up. That's why I am. Listen, I'm not these little elite YouTubers. You're dealing with a real person. You're saying shit. You're saying shit. And if you say shit, this is how I'm going to talk to you. I'm sorry. You're trying to win something. You can't win. Now, if you don't want to argue this way, don't argue. But this is how real people talk, right? I don't, you know, if you can't handle it, I'm just saying no, I didn't call you stupid. I said I have a higher IQ than you. You're trying to win by using false narratives and twisting it around against the higher intellect. No, you don't disagree with me. You're just trying to create an argument out of nothing. You're creating false information. I'm talking respectfully. This is how I talk. I'm a passionate person, right? I don't need to kiss your ass. I don't need people to watch this channel. I couldn't give a fuck, right? You're trying to say that Patty Jenkins had complete control out of Wonder Woman 2017 and basically that Zack had minimal control on that film, and you are wrong, and I'm sorry. Nightjar, Hot Takes Tuesdays, he didn't call you stupid. You're just, what you are, Hot Takes Tuesdays, one of these people who lives in a bubble where people let you win all the time, and when someone who kind of gets the tennis racket and keeps on batting the ball back to you, you don't like it. Well, this is my channel. This is my channel, right? I don't agree with you, and I'm coming back at you passionately because you keep on coming back with stuff that has no credence. But you're on my channel. Why do I want to go on your channel for? So you've got your little friends or something and you can twist it about? No. You come up with a debate, you lost the debate, then you started making things up, right? Because you know that Jenkins is an episode director of Wonder Woman 2017. You know what Zach's responsible for. But Bobo Boy, I agree with you, Big Mouth. Thank you. But nobody has to agree with me on this channel. But I'm not someone who needs to kiss ass to keep subscribers. I've got like 6 people watching my channel. This isn't a successful channel. I do this for me. I don't give a shit. Now, I welcome people to watch it and debate and talk to me, and you're my friends, and that's great. But I don't need to bend the knee to anyone. Hot Takes Tuesday. I will prove definitively no one-on-one, mate. We are one-on-one. We are one-on-one. We are one-on-one. We're on neutral ground, mate. I'm talking, you're talking. This is my channel. I'm trying to build this channel up. I'm not going to go on your channel to build your channel up. I'm fed up with people trying to build their own platforms up. It's about time I build my fucking platform up, right? Follow me, add me, do this, do that. No, fuck off. Who adds me? Who follows me? No one, right? So I build my own platform up, right? So I'm not coming to your channel, right? We're talking equally and fairly. You lost the debate, plain and simple, and it's over. It's over. Patty Jenkins is officially the episode director of Wonder Woman 2017, and she took credit for it. Boy, people who follow DC News knew about Snyder has zero involvement with Wonder Woman 84, while at the same time, Snyder is on set for Wonder Woman 2017. Exactly. Yeah, and I gave you a thumbs up. I wish you success. You can speak. I can't. Okay, I'll do it on your channel. Yeah, you can do it on my channel. You've spoken. We've had a debate. I believe that Wonder Woman 2017 is hugely Snyder's vision, and that's why it's so good. And that's why the VFX is good, and that's the differences between Wonder Woman 2017 and Wonder Woman 1984. We've had the debate. The debate's over. You think what you think. I think what I think. But I'm not insulting you. I'm just giving my passionate opinion because I'm a passionate guy, right? That's not insulting. If you knew me, you knew. I tell you what, if I wanted to insult you, I'd insult you, and I wouldn't because I'm a respectful person. Hot Takes Tuesday, you've lost. Well, if you believe that and that helps you sleep at night, mate, I've lost. But I know I've won, and I know I'm telling the truth. At the end of the day, you can keep on saying that I've lost, but I'm always a winner, mate. I always win. I won and you lost. I think you're not used to people, standing there and not falling on the floor to you. I won. I was right. Deal with it. I won. Mix and Elite. Mix not gonna kiss your ass. Up yours. Yes, I'm right. Yes, I'm right. Yes, I'm right. No, I didn't lose. I didn't lose. Because if I lose, I admit I lost. If I think I'm wrong about something, I'll say I'm wrong. But I know for a fact Wonder Woman 2017 was all a Zack Snyder film, but in name only. And that woman took credit for his work, for his choreography, for his VFX. It's despicable. All because they wanted to put a woman up there and say, look what a woman can do, basically. Snyder is a visual genius. That film, Themyscira, that first sequence is beautiful because he made it beautiful and his team made it beautiful. And I love you too. But at the end of the day, did your mum breastfeed you till you were 11? First of all, my mum doesn't exist anymore. She died 2 years ago. No, she didn't breastfeed me till I was 11. But basically, you don't like to lose, do you? I am special. I am a fucking elite. I'm a fucking elite, mate. I am special. I am special. Yeah, that's right. No, you lost. It's okay. Yes. That's what I want to say to you. You lost. You lost. You can't take it, can you? The reason Wonder Woman 2017 was so good because Zack Snyder dominated the movie. It was his vision and the story, and you could keep on crying like a little baby and saying, I respect you, I love you, dude, but you lost, but you lost, but you lost. Nightjoy, I agree, Big Mouth. Love the reimagining of the Themyscira. Beautiful, beautiful. Well done, Zack Snyder. And a little bit of a well done to episode director Patty Jenkins. Anyone else? Did your mum breastfeed you till you were 11? You see, that's not insulting, is it? That's not insulting at all, is it? Because you can't take it, can you? Because no one stands up to you. That's the thing. That's the problem. I'm a Don, mate. I'm a Don. Look, I'll fucking prove to you I'm a fucking Don. You come on my channel, you insult me, yeah? And you insult the family, yes? Yes, you do. I just need some nuts to crack. Hot Taste Tuesday. Listen to this bullshit. Hot Taste Tuesday. I don't want to be mean, but you started getting hot when we're just discussing films. I don't take that shit. Oh, don't you? You don't take losing very well, do you? I wasn't getting hot. You were repeating yourself. You were trying to win something you couldn't win. And that's the problem. You were wrong. You were wrong. And you kept on getting annoyed and trying to push and push. Go and listen to this interview. Go and watch that interview. You were going to other things to try and deflect the win from yourself because you're used to winning. You're used to winning. And you lost this debate plain and simple. So you started talking about my dead mother. So you can't play the victim, right? You started talking about someone's dead mother breastfeeding someone till they were 11, right? End of story. Because you're a little baby. You're a little baby who can't take losing. You lost. End of story. End of story. And if you can't take someone on their own channel saying their thing, that's up to you. Booble Boy, Wonder Woman 17 is Snyder creation. Snyder did the story, his action team, and also his vision. Exactly. I don't even know why you're trying to dig this narrative out. I don't understand what the agenda was in the first place. Hot Taste is okay, I lost. I can't take it again. Sorry about your mother. I never got personal with you, did I? I didn't mention your mother, did I? That's the problem. That's the problem with the internet, right? We had a little heated debate, fair enough, that's fine, but I never insulted you, right? I never spoke about your family. This is what you people, this is the problem with you people. You're talking about you got all hot over a film. You got all hot because you mentioned my mum breastfeeding me at 11. You know, I didn't say that. I didn't talk about your mum, your dad, your wife. If you've got a wife, if she sees me, I think she's going to want to sleep with me. I think that could be my ultimate revenge, right? And believe you me, I'm not adverse to sleeping with people's wives if they offer themselves to me. Because I'm a don, mate. I'm a don. I'm not the normal meatballs on these channels who are greedy, they've got money in their eyes. I'm just going to say what I fucking want. I don't care. I don't care who watches and who doesn't. It's irrelevant to me. I've got money. I live in a mansion. I can sleep with whoever I fucking want. I can drink what I want. I can smoke what I want. It doesn't matter to me. I'm doing this for my own vanity because I'm a vain prick. I'm a vain person. So it doesn't matter who watches me, who likes me, who doesn't. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It is irrelevant to me, right? Doesn't matter. I say what I want on Twitter. No, I didn't get personal with you. Which member of your family did I mention? Which person from your family did I insult? Please remind me. You did get personal with me, but forget it. I like your channel, We're Men. We can just walk away from it. Talk about something else. I'm not what you think I am. It didn't have to be like this. It didn't have to be like this. But unfortunately, you insisted in insisting that Zack Snyder had very little to do with this film. And I know for a fact that's not the truth. So I don't even know why you want that to be the truth. What we've seen two very different films in Wonder Woman, the first one, and Wonder Woman 84. Patty Jenkins was left to her own devices with the second film, and that's why it is the way it is. She believes Wonder Woman should be pure, with no weapons, a few gags, and not much to leave the audience with. And Snyder is into, kind of these kind of films where, the hero is this hard-ass gladiator. And that's what Wonder Woman is in that film. Certainly what she is in BVS as well. So it's obvious, isn't it, that Snyder had a lot to do. You don't need credits and interviews and things like that. Whatever they said, they tried to big up the female director to look like she conceived this whole movie on her own, where she didn't. The writer wasn't her writer. She had no official status apart from being the episode director. It's like me directing an episode of The Flash. I don't have any creative control when I'm directing one episode of The Flash. I literally have to say, right, Grant, stand there, look angry. That's it. That's what she did. But she won a few battles because she was whining. And in the end, she whined even more during the marketing of Wonder Woman 84. Not only did she bitch about Wonder Woman 2017 and what they didn't let her do, right, which proves she didn't have much authority, she was still moaning that they wanted to cut the Themyscira scene, which I don't know why they wanted to cut that. It's one of the best things about the film. And the horrible, horrible male scene, which only an alt-leftist who hates men would do, having men leering at those women doing the aerobics when they're bending over, right? We know what the better movie is. I have no bias. I like Zack. I just am interested in truth. From the screenwriter said, I got a very different impression. Just let's leave it. It's just a movie. Well, I'm very passionate about movies, and if Patty Jenkins wrote and directed Wonder Woman 2017 and she was 75% responsible for it, there would be no reason for me not to give her credit. She comes across as a nice lady, but at the end of the day, multiple people know that's not the case. Hot takes. So whatever the screenwriter said, and he's a great screenwriter and a great comic book guy, I don't know, and it doesn't matter. I think it's pretty obvious, who's responsible for that on that movie. Bobo Boy, Wonder Woman 84 is Jeff John plus Patty Jenkins. Yep, I do envision. Patty and WB just put Snyder's name as executive producer, so audiences assume it's made by Snyder, which is, yes, 0% involved. Well, Wonder Woman 84, he's basically, because he conceived the DCEU, his name's on all the films now. That's why. They weren't trying to trick us or anything, I don't think, but it did help his name being on there. But then again, people also hate Snyder. So some people may even blame Snyder for Wonder Woman 84. As you said, 0% creative control. But we know at the time of Wonder Woman 84, Zack was running the entire DCEU. So, he brought on Michelle McLaren. Something happened there, I don't know. And then he brought on Patty. But we know Patty's complained about Wonder Woman 2017. Certain elements. Because people say the third act of Wonder Woman 2017 is crap. She's tried to say, well, I did tell them, trying to walk away from responsibilities. So it's all Patty, you're the best. And it's everybody else's fault that the third act wasn't very good, even though I love the third act. he co-wrote the story and wrote the script, so he takes a great piece of credit. But he didn't do the VFX. He didn't help with the choreography, and he basically, that VFX is how the film looks. Of course, the story's beautiful. Alan constructed a great, beautiful, open-hearted film. He did a good job. He did a great job. But no one's going to convince me that Patty Jenkins was the one that made the No Man's Land scene so good. And then we see the kind of thing she was doing in Wonder Woman 84. It doesn't compute, my friend. It doesn't compute. It doesn't make sense to me. How can one film look so shit? If she was really the director and visionary of the first Wonder Woman film, why is it on Open Road that those sequences look so shit and No Man's Land looks so beautiful? Why? Why? If it's the same person with the same capabilities, basically sometimes you have to use your brain. You use your brain and your common sense, and you realize no matter what they say officially, it's bullshit just to build her up because she's a woman. It's obvious. So I don't just go on information. I go on my gut and what I think. And that's what I passionately believe. That's who I am. I just see things and I know what's true and what's not true. Because I know these people, I know this industry. So I give Alan great credit for the film, for sure. Well, that was fun, everyone. So we had a long debate. Boy. I think Hot Takes Tuesday is confused what Alan Heinberg are saying. I watched Alan Heinberg interview when he talked about Wonder Woman 2017 screenplay, but none of it denying Snyder. Thank you, Bobo Boy. Hot Takes Tuesdays. I agree with you that Patty did a trash job and tried to lie to make herself look better until the 84 reviews came out. She hasn't done herself any favors. No, she hasn't. And I hope she's out of it, Hot Takes Tuesdays, because Ronnie Dodge, see you later, mate. You're still here, Ronnie. I didn't even realise you were still here. I thought it was just me and Hot Takes Tuesday here, just having an argument between ourselves. I forgot we were on the internet. I thought we were down the pub. You know what? Yeah. Hot Takes Tuesday. Boy, again, you're welcome on my channel. We'll watch it together. Show me where it got confused. Or where I got confused. Yes, so see you later, Ronnie Dodge. I think we're going to call it a day now. It's been a great morning. I do like a good little argument. No hard feelings, Hot Takes Tuesdays. I love you as well. Got a bit heated, but it's no big deal. That's what I like. Hot Takes Tuesday. Boober Boy getting... Oh, no, sorry. Nightjaw, smiling. You can't say it wasn't entertaining, can you, mate? Let's have some more of that. It's good when it's heated, isn't it? I enjoyed that. I like a good rock. Ronnie Dodge, I was being quiet, but this Disney buying DC is whole shit. You were just enjoying the action, weren't you? Yeah, I mean, the sources it's coming from, you can't believe it at this point. But all I'm saying, Ronnie, is because Warner Media is now a disjointed ownership, it's easier to do a hostile takeover if they wanted to. But we will see. Hot Take Tuesdays, laters. Hope we can forgive and forget, of course. Great time. I enjoyed the argument. It was fun. It woke me up. It got my energy up. And basically, everyone, don't forget, I'm back tonight from 6 p.m. on Big Mouth Live. So I don't know what we're going to talk about. I don't know what's going to kick off. But if you want more of the same, please come back. And even if you don't, please come back. I will be back tonight, 6 p.m. UK time for Big Mouth Live. Until then, goodbye. Thank you, everyone, for your support. Love you lots.